What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Cleanera, welcome to this channel, and in this video I will be talking about the art of creating a cleaning business within the UK. Now it's been 5 months since I dropped the last video and I received so much love. We just hit 500 views and just above 30 likes. That's really massive to me, and I mean that's just more incentive for me to drop more videos. And I mean, people even went ahead to reach out to me on WhatsApp. That's great. I mean, that tells me there are people out there who need this information. And 5 months later, here am I dropping another video. Obviously this video is going to be jam-packed. What will you get from this video? If you are that entrepreneur out there who wants to start, I'll be going deep to talk about the entry levels, the various routes you can take to be successful within the niche, within the cleaning market, how to price, how not to price, what to do and what not to do, and obviously how to start from nothing and scale up to the point where you can actually make a living from this model. So why not hit that subscribe button, stick to the end of this video if you are that entrepreneur who is really looking for value, I mean actual value out of experience. Make sure stick with me. Without much ado, let's dive straight into the video. What is the definition of a cleaning business? Because we need to understand what a cleaning business is before we can properly navigate into the market. So cleaning is basically a service engaging activity where you convert a space from an unpleasant state to a pleasant and habitable state. Now, what is the business part of it? A business is literally a scenario or an environment where potential exchange can occur, either exchange for goods and services, goods for services, goods for goods. It just depends on what the parties requires, right? So we need to understand what's being exchanged for what. But particularly in the cleaning niche, we are exchanging services for money. So we need to understand what's being exchanged before we dive into the market. So now we are heading to understanding the cleaning business market. For us to first of all understand the cleaning business market, what is a potential market scenario? Now, a market scenario is where two parties have the ability to exchange one thing for another, either a product for a service, service for a product, service for money, or whatever. It just depends on the need of both parties, but at the end of the day both parties must end up satisfied, right? So that's a potential market scenario. Now, how is that applicable in our market? How is that applicable in this niche? Now, the cleaning business market is a potential market scenario where a person requires cleaning service from another person in exchange for money in measurable quantity or units of time, and at the end of the day, the person requiring the cleaning service must be happy with the service provider, and the person who's provided the services must as well be happy with the pay. So it's a give and take scenario. It's a two-way street. So it's a relationship. This business is all about relationship, right? So that's what the market looks like. So going forward, we'll realize that thriving in this market is all about understanding the kind of people who require these services, right? The kind of where they require the services for. I'll be giving you 3 different kind of relationships within this niche, and you would need to understand them and choose which to follow in order to thrive. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3. It depends on what you have in your arsenals to pursue them, right? So, but I will be explaining and going deep on how to thrive within these 3 paths in this industry or in this market. So, without much ado, I'll be diving now straight into the 3 parts anybody can explore within this niche to strike or break even and obviously make a living from these markets. So we're exploring the cleaning business market, and like I've mentioned, this market is being built or this market is being built or made up of relationships. Now we need to understand the three kind of relationships we can find within this market and the various kind of deals or contracts we could potentially get out of each of these potential scenarios we meet in the market. So the first potential relationship we can find in this market is the residential client and cleaner relationship. So that's quote unquote, that's just a fancy word for residential properties or residential deals. So residential cleans, that's the first kind of relationship we can meet in the market. That's a potential one, residential clean. So what's residential clean? As the word goes, residential, this is just cleaning people's personal houses, right? There are houses in every street. There are, in fact, houses makes up the towns, houses makes up cities, and families rent new houses every day, people relocate every day. So that's already, you don't need to look far to know that it's a market in demand, right? So every home guaranteed, 10 homes in every street. Out of 10 homes, 8 out of those 10 homes use cleaners. That's out of experience. That's pure experience, I'm telling you. So that's already demanded. So what's a typical scenario? Like, okay, I'll assume that everybody at this point knows how to get the contracts, right? I would assume that, but if you don't know how to get the contracts, just let me know in the comments, right? Let me know what you need, and I'll see how to provide more videos about that. But assuming everything being equal, everybody knows how to get the contract. So what's a potential case scenario of a residential deal, right? Family home. Potential case scenario, 3-bedroom apartment, 2 toilets, kitchen, parlor. What do you need to do in that case? Now, with residential cleans, you need to understand what the homeowners need, because most of them are busy. That's why they require cleaners to come and look after their homes while probably they're at work or maybe off to drop kids and stuff like that. But they juggle a lot. They have to handle their work, handle family affairs, so they need cleaners. So you need to understand their cleaning needs to the T, right? You need to understand that. So typical case scenario, a 3-bedroom apartment, 2 toilets, parlor, kitchen, and maybe the hallway. What you need to understand with this kind of contract is you need to take note of the kitchen and the toilet. The kitchen and the toilet, in my experience, those are areas of high needs, right? Most residential property owners, they pay quite high attention to those areas of the house. Then take care of the parlor, take care of the most used areas, kitchen, oven, toilets. I've already mentioned that. And you must take your time to get the job done. Don't cut corners, because if you cut edges, you're only doing yourself harm anyway. So you must make sure you are ready to get the job done. So, but it's not difficult with that. But as well, that's literally what these homeowners need. They need to see their home clean. So if you have the time and you are dedicated and you're really down to get the job done, obviously you are fit and you get it done, you smack it. So how do you price within this kind of relationship? Now, once you've understood exactly what every residential homeowner needs, you must understand that once you've understood that to the T, now you can properly price. I'll tell you for a fact, anything less than £15 an hour, you're doing yourself harm. Nobody should price £10 an hour. I mean, that's basically underpricing. You cannot price £10 an hour in 2025. You're just killing you're shooting yourself on your feet with a pistol. For real, man. Nobody should charge £10 an hour. From experience, you should be charging, at least if you're a newbie in the market and really don't have experience in cleaning, you should charge at least £15 an hour. Yes, I said that, £15 an hour, because £15 an hour will help you, if you are even on an entry level, will help you cover for stuff like transportation to get yourself there, and other little expenses. But you should not charge £10 an hour. That's literally undercharging. And if you're just at an entry level, £10 an hour will do you nothing. So you should be charging £15 an hour. So you will be able to strike even. When I'll be going further down in the video, I'll be explaining, giving you actual numbers on how you can make an actual living with just this model I'm explaining. So assuming you're charging £15 an hour, basic standard £15 an hour, and you know what to do with every cleans, now you're good to go. You just need to hit the numbers right. And you're good to go every month. So let's run hypothetical. Well, these are not hypothetical numbers. These are real and achievable numbers. Yeah. Anybody listening to this video can run it up. So let's say me, Isaac, right? Down my street, there are 10 properties. I aim to get 10, or let's say I aim to get 5 residential properties to manage under me as a cleaner. Now, I target the residential properties and I get 5 of them as contract. And for the 5 properties, each of the properties, I take 3 hours to clean those properties. And every week, I'm required to clean each of the properties 2 times a week, right? In my experience, most property owners, they may require you 2 times a week. It depends on the nature of the house, of the home, how busy the home is. But for most properties with many inhabitants in it, they require cleans at least twice a week. So if you have 5 properties and each of the 5 properties requires cleans twice a week, and you're charging £15 an hour, and you figure out on average you're going to take 3 hours to be done with each clean, right? So you have 5 properties to be cleaned twice a week, and each property per clean requires 3 hours, and you charge £15.50 an hour. So let's run the numbers. So you have 5 properties. Let's calculate for one, then we'll multiply. So one of those properties, you take 3 hours to clean them, right? So 3 hours times £15.50 an hour, which you charge, that's £46. That's £46.5 for one property. That's £46.5 for one property you're making per clean in one day. So let's say for each property each property requires cleans twice a week, right? So £46.5 times 2, so that's £93 each property is giving you every week. So you have 5 properties. So let's multiply this times 5. So every week you're making £465 for those 5 properties. So let's run it up in 1 month times 4. So in 1 month you're making £1,860 just with the residential model. Mind you, that's just 5 properties every week, twice a week, and how many hours per clean? Just 3 hours per clean. So each property, you're giving 6 hours to each property every week. So 6 times 5. So that's just 30 hours in a week. So you're putting in 30 hours to get over 1,800. I mean, that's not bad just for one model within the market you can explore. So we'll be going now to the next model to understand what relationship we can have what relationship we can have with other models, and to see the potential contracts which can come up from the other kinds of relationships. So like I said, this is a residential homeowner to cleaner relationship. So we must understand that. So that's the relationship we are talking about. So what's residential properties? I recap. Residential properties are basically homes where families live in, multiple people live in. So those are the kind of contracts we can get from this kind of relationship. And hypothetically, If not hypothetically, those are real numbers if you know how to price well. Mind you, you can't price £10 an hour and you think you can break even. No, you won't break even. You won't survive. You won't. So make sure you price well. Make sure you get the hours right, and because you might price well, and if you don't know how to balance up your numbers, you can be pricing £15 an hour, and maybe you go for a clean and they tell you the clean will take an hour. I mean, you charging £15 an hour will make no difference, because you will just be spending an hour on that clean, and maybe that clean is going to take you more than that time. So you've already charged £15, and if the clean take you more than an hour, I mean, you're just overworking, and you won't be getting overpaid for that. So you need to understand how to strike a balance between your pricing and the number of hours you give out per cleans. So that's potentially what we can get from these residential homeowners to cleaner relationships. So now let's look at the next kind of relationship, which is the commercial deals or commercial contracts. So the commercial deals, now what's this kind of relationship? This is a relationship between cleaners and commercial space owners. What are commercial spaces? These are just public use areas which are constantly being used, like offices, supermarkets, big shops. Think about it, those public use areas, you understand? So how do these deals come? These are mostly highly long-term deals and contracts, because we are dealing with professional spaces as well. These are not spaces where people live in. These are strictly spaces for business, where business activities run, people get in and get out. So the commercial contract, or the commercial relationship, where we've got a relationship between cleaners and the commercial property owners, is a little bit high end. But if you've got the tools and you've got the ability, you can go for it, because this is where the big checks are, trust me. So as we go further, I'll give you typical case scenarios and real numbers which can be made with this model if you have the tools in your bag to get them. So how do you price even? Like I said, assuming everyone knows how to acquire this client, but how do you price? Like I said, don't price yourself out of the market. You can't be giving prices, or you can't be sending out quotes for 2010 or anything less than 2020 in 2025, man. Come on. You're just out selling yourself at a very cheap price. So I always say with commercial properties, you shouldn't be charging anything less than £50 an hour. Yeah, nothing less than £50 an hour, because most often with these commercial spaces, they need deep carpet cleans. Most of these commercial spaces have carpets in them, right? And people walk on the carpet. These carpets also require deep cleans. They have mirrors, and most of the times they have the mirrors goes right to the top of the wall, which you obviously need some ladders, and you need extra even staff. I mean, so it goes a bit deep, right? It goes a bit deep. So you shouldn't be pricing anything. £50 an hour is even small, but anything less than £50 an hour is a taboo in the commercial cleaning sector. So you shouldn't be charging anything less than £60. So hypothetically, yeah, you have 2 units, right? You have 2 units of commercial properties to manage, to clean. You need to supersede it's being clean. Now, you're charging the property owner £50 an hour, and you estimate that per unit, each unit is going to take you approximately 5 hours, or let's say 3 hours, to get the cleans done before the property is being used per day for that day. So let's say, okay, 3 hours. So you're charging £50 an hour. So that's you've got 2 units. So that's £50 times 3 hours. That's £150 per morning or per day, and you have to clean that commercial property 5 times. Or most commercial properties are used Monday to Saturday, so they need to be cleaned 6 times a week. So for 1 unit, you estimate 3 hours per clean, right? Now, each day you're making 150 quid. So you have 6 days per week. That's 900. That's 900 for 1 unit in 1 week. So in a month, by 4, that's what you're making for 1 unit in commercial property cleaning, man. It's crazy. Listen, you need to be confident, because if you don't get the pricing right, you can never strike even like this. And proper presentation of yourself equally matters. Nobody would just give any Jack and G this kind of contract without you having to have any proof of work or any previous history to show to back what you're saying, if you understand. So this is just for 1 unit in a month, right? For just commercial properties, if you price well. Now imagine you've got two units. So multiplied by 2, that's what you'll be making. That's what you'll be turning over a month for just 2 units with proper pricing. Yeah, 2 units with proper pricing. So that's over £7,200 a month. Yeah, it's possible. So this is an ultimate glitch. I feel fire making this video, man. Because if you pick up this information and run with it, man, you're setting yourself up for life, because all you need is the time and dedication to the work. You must stick to the field, understand how the market works. I've been in the market for over a year and a half. That's why I can get this information and put it out there with so much confidence in my chest. Obviously, you must get things right before you could hit these numbers, but these are realistic. So you must understand as well that commercial contracts, these are a bit professional. Well, when I say professional, it's not like too professional, but you need to be serious. You need to put on a straight face before you can hit this kind of bags. Hospitals, those are commercial deals, man. You know, big buildings, big offices, all these massive buildings in every city. Who do you think cleans them, man? Those are the contracts. Yeah, those are them. Churches, so those are the contracts lying in front of you. You just need to figure out how to get them, and you get them, and you put up a proper structure to deliver on those contracts. So that's it for the commercial property. That's typical case scenario and possible numbers you can hit with proper pricing and proper time allocation to your pricing. So without much ado, let's dive into the next relationship, which is the short-term rental deals or contracts. So what kind of relationship do we see from this kind of contract? So this is a kind of contract where clean is required for spaces which are being frequently used every day for rental purposes. People rent a space to sleep, for maybe a night, 2 or 3, and they check out. So these spaces required special needs because people use the beds, people use the kitchens. If for Airbnb scenarios or for hotel scenarios, people use the beds, people use the bathrooms, and the general use areas. So the sheets needs to be taken care of, the bathroom needs to be taken care of. So special needs are required for these kind of deals or contracts. Now let's dive deep into this kind of relationship. Who do we meet now? So we meet people who own properties like Airbnbs, who give them out for rent, who give out these spaces for people to use frequently. So like I said, these areas require special needs. So for Airbnb scenarios, it just depends on how the property owner structures the Airbnb. For some Airbnbs have laundry system incorporated in them, while others don't have laundry systems. So that's going to determine how you price, because for an Airbnb with laundry system, you cannot price it the same as an Airbnb without the laundry system, because if you are taking care of their laundry and ironing, that's obviously a spike up in price. So how should you price within these markets, how should you price within these scenarios? You should not be pricing anything less than £25 an hour. I said that. Now, if you have to manage the laundry, if you have to manage the laundry of that particular Airbnb and they don't have a laundry system attached, then you should be charging at least £30 an hour. Yes, £30 an hour. And if they have a laundry system, you should be charging around £20-30 an hour, because like I said, it requires special cleans. People who book an Airbnb for a night, though, obviously, in my experience, Airbnbs need more attention, because if you pay for a property to sleep for just maybe a night or two, you'll be very keen to every details, right? The slightest hair you see on the bed is a red flag. I've seen scenarios where clients call back for a refund, probably because they did not like the painting of the house. Yes, clients are that. I mean, I don't want to use the word horrible, but you need to be keen to details. The PowerPoint of every Airbnb, or the PowerPoint of every business owner within the Airbnb or booking and rental niche is just cleaning. If you have poor cleaning for your properties in this niche, you're just setting yourself up to fail, because these guests who book your property for the night or for a day or two, they are very keen to the least detail. Anything they're going to ask for a refund. So cleaning holds the Airbnb and renting business. So if you are ready to get into this particular market, you must be, extra detailed and keen to the slightest dirt, the slightest. No hair, every chrome must shine. Airbnb cleaning needs detailed attention. The laundry, the sheets must be well ironed. Everything must be detailed to the T, because cleaning, like I said, holds every rental business, especially because for Airbnb hosts, in my experience, they always leave a review. So if your cleaning is mess, trust me, they will fry you on Airbnb. They will give terrible reviews, and that's only going to bring your business down. So this also goes out to every Airbnb owner out there. If you notice that your reviews are low, you need to check up on your cleaners. They are not doing their job well. So you need to make sure that your cleaning is up to T, and every duvet, every sheet, every pillowcase is well ironed to the T. So that's a potential case scenario of how things may occur within this niche. Now, how do you price? Like I said, if they have a laundry system or not, that's going to determine how you're going to price. But let's just say on an average, you're pricing £25 an hour, right, for Airbnb cleans, and you have 5 Airbnbs to manage, man. You have 5 Airbnbs to manage, and you're charging £25 an hour. Now, like I said, you must know your numbers. These numbers are very important. You need to work with the numbers, strictly with the numbers. Let nothing deceive you. You need to get your numbers right. If you don't get your numbers right, you will rarely thrive. And you need to document this thing down, trust me. Because you will eat the money up if you don't document it down, and if you don't, put a firm hand on how the money comes in and how it goes out. Now, let's run the numbers. So let's say you have 5 Airbnbs right down your street. You've got 5 Airbnbs, and each Airbnb on average will take you 3 hours to clean. And let me tell you something. Airbnb, these models, right? Airbnb cleans, it can require you to clean at least, let's say, 3 times a week, right? Depends on how much booking you have, how quick the clients check in and check out. So let's say on an average, every week, right, you have to go to your 5 Airbnb each 3 times. So you have 5 Airbnbs which require cleans 3 times a week, and each clean will take you approximately 3 hours. And how much do you charge? £25 an hour. Let's do the maths. Now, calculator. Oh dear. So you have 5 Airbnb. Okay, let's do for one, then we'll multiply for the other 4. So you have for each Airbnb, let's do for one. So one Airbnb, you're taking 3 hours to clean, right? So 3 hours per clean, and you're charging £25.50 per hour. So for one Airbnb per clean, right, you're getting £76.5 per clean. So for that one Airbnb, it requires clean 3 times a week. So times 3. So per week, you're making £229.5 a week. So now let's multiply this by your 5 Airbnbs. Well, let's not exaggerate, right? Because I personally, I'm currently managing 3 Airbnbs. Let's not exaggerate. I've just been like over a year and a half. Yeah. So, but well, let's not exaggerate here. Let's say you're managing 3 Airbnbs. 3 Airbnbs. So you're charging £25 an hour, right? And you're managing 3 Airbnbs. So you have to clean those 3 Airbnbs 3 times each a week. So now we realize that in a week for one Airbnb, you're making this £229.5. So for your 3 properties times 3, you'll be making this £688.5. That's a week. In a month, for all your 3 properties, that's bloody what you're making in a month. 2065 pence. £2,065.5. That's it. That's what you'll be making per month. So that's it for short-term rentals and short-term rentals, Airbnb, hotels, bookings. That's literally realistically what you can make if you get the numbers right and you have your pricing correct, and obviously you have the manpower and the readiness and the willingness to get the job done. So that's it for short-term rentals. That's it for the third kind of relationship we can see. So conclusively, I've broken down the 3 kind of deals we can potentially make out of the cleaning business market. So it depends on you. You've heard the realistic numbers which can be made from each niche. So it's all left on you and your capability, your readiness, your availability, and the tools in your arsenal you've got to pursue either of the routes. You can either go commercial, you can either go residential, you can either do booking or buy to let. It all depends on what you've got in your arsenal ready, right? So you can do a combo of 2, you can even do the combo of 3, you can even do 1, depending on which kind of contract you resonate with. So you can go for either of these 3 contracts. I do all the 3 contracts, but I'm mostly specialized in residential and Airbnb. So you must be ready. This is a realistic picture of what the markets look like. You must know how to interact. Relationship, like I said, this niche is all about relationships. You're going to meet amazing people in the field. Trust me, I've met people I've met good people. I've met people who have changed my life, man. I've met people who've given me life-changing information, man, just by pure love. And like I said, you must know how to interact with them. It's all about you genuinely. It must be genuine, man. It must be genuine. You must love what you're doing. You must love looking after people's property, because it goes deep for someone to entrust you with his. It goes deep for someone to entrust you to look after his or her property. I mean, I've met a lot of wonderful people who have really trusted me along the line. I've worked with people for years. I've worked with people who have entrusted me with their homes worth millions, for real. And I kept it a buck with them, and for that they've trusted me for real. So don't go there play games. If you go for cleans, go for cleans. Don't take what's not yours. I keep it 100. You feel me? So that's it conclusively for this video. I hope this helps and this gives you a push to really go out to the market. Now, like I said, there's always this massive confusion out there where people think, should I, go legal? Should I register my business before, start looking for contracts? To me, personally, I would tell you, you need to test the market first. You need to see if the market is a place where you will survive. Trust me, because you need to put in the time, you need to put in the effort, you need to be ready to redo cleans, because you meet a lot of petty people as well. You meet a lot of petty people who I've had scenarios where you do your best for every cleans, but people will still not appreciate, and you will be required to come and redo the cleans. It's really, really stressful, so you must be ready. So these are real life scenarios I'm putting out there. So, but if you are determined, trust me, you can pick up this information and run. So without much ado, I'll wrap up the video here. I'm Isaac from Cleanera. I hope this video does a lot of good for you. Throw out your genuine thoughts on what you think. Any questions you have, any questions, just drop it on the comments. I'll leave my WhatsApp in the comment, I'll leave my Instagram, I'll leave my TikTok. Feel free to reach out. I'm here for you all. Let's connect. See you on the next one. Bye bye. Ciao.